Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about how to print directly onto your bed a jig to use to lay out your items so they print exactly where you want them to be and you got perfect alignment. So let's get into it. So we'll actually be covering two different methods of printing a jig onto the bed of the printer. The first one is a function built into Verft, and the second will be using a file that I have created for one of our ornaments that then can be printed directly onto the bed. So we'll first take a look at Verft and then we'll go over the second one. Alright, so to get started, we have Verft launched here. So to create and to print this jig, what we need to do is go up to Manage, and inside of here we'll find an option called Jig Layout. When we click on this, then we go here to create a new jig, and all you do is just give it a name. So we'll just call this one Sample, and then click OK. And now you'll see right here, these are a visual representation of the jig that you're going to be creating. Over here, this is the entire jig layout dimensions. So this entire area are these dimensions right here. Your jig slot dimensions, these are each individual little box that's over here. And so that's represented with these ones. And then your position, printing position, this dictates how far in from your 0, 0 your jig will print. And then the last is your spacing, horizontal and vertical. These are the settings to create the gaps in between each individual jig. So just to keep this one simple, we're going to create one box that will be 5 inches by 5 inches, and as you enter these numbers, you can see over here it's actually making the change. And so we'll go ahead and just tighten this up a little bit by doing 5.5 by 5.5. That then now changes it to just this one box. So the more boxes that you need on the bed, you would just increase your entire jig layout and then have your dimensions for each individual box entered here, and then you'll have more and more spots for your items to be placed. So once we make all of these changes, we're going to go ahead and click on Save. Now, by doing that, if we click here, you can see these are some of the other jigs that we've created, and now Sample is one of the ones on the list. So from here, this is where you can actually print this jig layout onto the bed itself. So to do that, you just click on this box that says Enable Jig Layout Printing, and we've got a couple more options that show up. So what we're going to do is select Print Frame, and once we click that, you'll see that there's these little slots right here, lines around the edges that have appeared. And you have a couple options. So those ones are right here. This is what they call the fence. You could also do just the corners, and those will show up right there, or you can print the entire rectangle just like that. The next option is what color you want it to print out. If you're going to print directly onto the bed, which I do fairly frequently, I always choose white, because if you choose black, you're not going to see it very easily. So I just choose white. Some people will actually put down some paper onto the bed before they print the jig, and so if it's white paper, printing the jig in black would be more helpful. Line width. This is actually going to change and increase how thick the line is around your jig. And then distance from slot. This will actually scoot the line a little bit away from the edge of your jig. So if you want to have a little bit more of a gap between the item that you're going to be placing on it and the line itself, that's where you would increase that, and that's kind of just trial and error. Another thing that you can do if you have multiple spots on the bed is you can enable print slot number. And so we only have just one, so we got a number 1 that showed up down there. So that's where you would enable that if you have multiple spots. Then what you would do is come down and click on this icon here, and this will bring up your print jig layout options. And so if you have multiple printers, you would just select which printer that you're wanting to send it to. And then also from here is where you would select the type of print environment that you're going to use. Since I just print in white, I would just use this option here that is print white 720 bidirectional. And then submit to printer. And now it's been sent over to the printer, and we'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to be covering is adding your own custom shaped jig to the bed, and that can be achieved by creating your own file if you want to do it in a PNG or a vector format, whichever way you have it created. For me, I'll go ahead and import this real quick. We actually have this in a vector format that we use with our laser in order to cut these ornaments, and so that makes it a little bit easier for this demonstration. Now, if you place it right here and you send it over to Verft, and I'll just go ahead and show you right now. We have this loaded right here. And in Flexi, we had it shifted away from the edge a little bit, but on here, you'll see they're right at the edge now, versus with Flexi, they were a little bit away from the edge. To overcome this, what you could do is just put a little box right down here in the corner, and with that box, we'll go and change our fill to no fill, and we'll also set our stroke and make sure that's set to transparent as well. Once we have those changes made, then we'll go ahead and send this over again, and this time you'll see a difference. And now you'll see that it actually shifted away from the edge, and this is where we actually want it to be. So back in here, another thing that you want to do is, I actually had this saved as a spot white color, and then over here, if you don't have it already set up that way, say you had it as just black, you could then come over, and then as long as you have your swatches set up down here, then you'll be able to also in here be able to select your spot colors and change it to spot white. And so when you go into Verft and you send it over to the printer, it'll print properly. So since we had already sent this over to Verft, we'll go ahead and jump over there now. And this is the file right here that we sent over the last time. So in order to see that, instead of having it set on colored pixels as specified density, I then change it to spot white, and now you'll see that they'll appear. And to tell if these are going to print in white, you just uncheck white and it disappears. Check white again, and then it reappears. So that way you know for sure it's going to be printing in white. Then click Save, and now you see it over here. And now we'll go ahead and submit that to the printer, and we'll see what that looks like. So just like everything, there are always multiple ways of achieving whatever goal that you're trying to get to. These are just two examples of ways to print the jig onto the bed of the printer. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe down below. And again, if you have any suggestions of any other videos that you would like to see, post that there as well. And I'll add that to the list of videos I'll do. All right, have a great day.